Health and wellness trends in the Western world are headed in the wrong direction, especially in the United States and Canada. Life expectancies are going down, quality of care is going down while the price goes up, and people are being left behind. While countries that we talk about are often seeing life expectancy increases, today I'm going to talk about how people in Canada are actually dying and what you can do to prevent this from happening to you and your family. One of the things that we've been talking about over the last couple of years, mostly starting during the pandemic, is how people are realizing that their country isn't really what it is cracked up to be. And what I've been saying for a long time is there's a lot of competition out there. For example, I think probably the best place in the world to get health care, whether it's preventative or whether it's a surgery, is in Southeast Asia. Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, take your pick, some of the world's best hospitals. I think certainly some good quality care in Dubai as well. Heck, there's hospitals for things like heart procedures, where India is one of the top places in the world to go, or places in the Middle East. And so you can look to any number of countries in the world to get quality health care. And those countries are seeing their life expectancies increase in most cases. They're seeing their incomes increase. They're seeing their health increase. And yet in the Western world, again, especially in the US and Canada, it's not really the case. I'm going to share with you 3 different reports today that tell this story, and one in particular. If it's your first time here, I'm Andrew Henderson, founder of Nomad Capitalist. We're a boutique consulting firm that helps 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs and investors legally go where you are treated best, from reducing your taxes to having a second passport, and yes, even living in a place or having access to a place where you get better quality care for a fraction of the price and live a longer, healthier life. You can learn more about what we do at nomadcapitalist.com. So I saw an article recently about how U.S. infant mortality rates and maternal mortality rates in parts of rural Texas are now at the same levels as Syria. And so there was some debate back and forth on that, but statistics don't lie. And there are parts of the United States, and presumably parts of other Western countries, but the U.S. is generally one of the laggards here, where you're getting care that is worse than in most emerging countries. I spend part of my year in Malaysia. I spend part of my year in parts of Eastern Europe, like Serbia. I am hosting a conference in Mexico. I've received pretty good quality care, attentive care in those countries. In Malaysia, there's going to be a lot more smiles. There's going to be a lot more taking care of you than there is in a place like Serbia. But it's been efficient, affordable, quality care. I can't complain about it. And by the way, I've gotten in a lot faster than I ever did in the United States. And so it doesn't surprise me that there are people who don't live in cities in the United States who just aren't getting care, and it's costing some of them, mothers and their children, their lives. The people who are giving birth in Malaysia, they're at above Syrian levels. And so if you want to, say, oh, this Andrew guy is living in places like Malaysia and Serbia and Mexico, you're seeing infant mortality rates that are lower in some of those places than you are in some of the more rural parts of the United States. Now, no doubt you don't have to live in a rural part of the United States, but it kind of digs in at the notion that your country is number one at everything and anything, and it's the only safe place to live, even though the United States is the 59th most dangerous country in the world, and it's the only place to get good quality health care or to live healthily, even though Americans are the 2nd most obese country in the world. And by the way, it's partially because of the food quality. It's terrible. You could eat just as much overseas and you wouldn't be as overweight. And so that's the first thing. You're seeing that numbers in some of these Western countries that you thought were the best, you thought the healthcare was best in the United States. I had a doctor friend from school. When I left the U.S. for good, he said, what are you going to do for healthcare? And all my other friends around the world just couldn't help but laugh and laugh and laugh. From the Canadians to the Singaporeans, they said, what are you talking about? Your healthcare is hardly the best and it costs a fortune. People can't even afford it. And so that matches with the fact that we talked about a year and a half ago with Western life expectancies are dropping. You're seeing for the first time ever. And it's not just because of the pandemic. It's because care is getting worse. It's because the conditions are getting worse. And it's, yes, partially because of the pandemic. But you would think you're paying high taxes to live in a Western country. You've bought into that paradigm. You've bought into, you live in a Western country, don't worry, they'll handle it. Your food will be safe. You'll be taken care of. You're going to live a long, long time. That's really not true. So countries like in Northern Europe, countries like Japan, sure, those people are living longer. Their life expectancy is generally increasing, but you're seeing a reversal in some Western countries like the United States. And so when I saw this article in Canada, this is from CTV News in Vancouver, where a gentleman says, we've been abandoned. I can't say I was surprised. A man dies in a British Columbia town waiting for health care near an ambulance station. Apparently this is becoming more and more common. The article says that for a second time in less than a month, a resident of Ashcroft, British Columbia, died while waiting for health care. Just one little town in Canada. The mayor of that town told CTV News Vancouver that a man was walking his dog Sunday morning when he had a heart attack. The man was within sight of the local ambulance station, but the closest paramedics were about 30 minutes away. Volunteer firefighters were called, but weren't trained for that kind of medical response. Roden said firefighters who did have some first aid gave the man CPR until the paramedics arrived. And that's twice in 1 month now. We've had people in medical distress with no ambulance at the station to give them assistance. It's frustrating. It makes me incredibly sad for the friends and family of the deceased. It makes me worried for my community because I know that people in the community are worried about it. Another story from last month. This is just 2 in 1 month. A senior resident at a care home next door to Ashcroft's hospital went into cardiac arrest and died. The emergency department at that time was closed due to staff shortages. Staff shortages in hospitals. I can tell you, I've been to the hospital in Malaysia a number of times in this year, and I don't see any staff shortages. I see everything working as normal. Nothing's closed off, nothing's delayed. And so care around the world, I talk to friends all over the world, they're getting their care. Just like when people in the United States were reporting food shortages and shelves were bare, we didn't see that anywhere. And so why is it this is happening in developed countries? It's because what I've been telling you for a long time. These countries are getting closer and closer together. The countries that you think of as emerging. I had a gentleman the other day tell me, you know, we were talking about a story where it was Salman Rushdie, got stabbed. People came up in a immediate, terrible story, obviously. People came up, immediately there was action taken. They called, people came, very quick response. He said, would that happen somewhere else? And I said, I don't think it would be much worse. Because by the way, as you can see here with this story in Canada, just in one little town, 2 people, staff shortages, too far away, nobody can help. They're not getting the care they need and they're dying as a result. So not everyone is making it. Right? And so, I don't know if there's any epidemic in countries around the world that are livable but not quite as wealthy, where you can go and pay a lot less in tax, you can go and reduce your cost of living, you can go and take a bite out of the impact of inflation on your budget and on your business, and you can probably live a happier life with cleaner food, potentially cleaner air, cleaner water, just better health overall. You can go to places, you can choose where you want to live, right? And in the process, you'll get better health care, you'll get better living conditions, and you'll get a better tax regime. Maybe you'll find, people that you like living with more too. A lot of people in the Western world now I'm seeing are lonelier than ever. Something like 1 in 5 Americans says they don't have a single close friend, American men. So the idea that people are thinking, oh, what would happen if someone got attacked, or what if someone had a heart attack in another country? Would they be taken care of as well as they are here? They're not being taken care of well enough here. And you're seeing the Malaysias and the Serbias and the Mexicos and the Colombias and the Thailands and the UAEs that are creeping a lot closer in many ways to the Canadas, the USs, the UKs, the Germanys. In many cases, there's not a huge difference. But what the difference is in the Western world, you are paying a fortune. And what you're thinking is, because they've given you the marketing campaign, that this is the best place to live, it's the safest place to live, it's the best health care, don't worry, you'll never have a problem here. People just think they live in the United States. People think they live in Canada. Health care is taken care of. You have nothing to worry about. No, you do have something to worry about. The mayor of the town said you have something to worry about because people are worried about it. And you're paying half of your income to these people. And you thought that your country was the best because they told you all your life. You thought that your country was the best because for these prices, I better be getting something. You're paying 4 Seasons prices to check into the Holiday Inn. Nothing wrong with the Holiday Inn, but if you're going to stay at the Holiday Inn, you might as well pay for the Holiday Inn. And you're paying a lot more than what you're getting. We've seen that during the last couple of years when people wouldn't even let their own citizens into the country, when they were denying them help. They just said, hey, times are tough, you're on your own. The concept of citizenship in the sense of your country is going to always be there to take care of you has changed dramatically. I can tell you I'm a citizen of some countries where I think they do care. And you go to the embassy and they're there to help. And you call up some government office and they're actually somewhat pleasant. Listen, government's government, but at least there's some accountability. At least people are more invested. At least the country's going in the right direction. And that's what we're seeing. Places where you can go that you think you're not going to get taken care of. You think life expectancy, you're dying at 32. Those places don't exist. It maybe existed when I was born in the 80s, and even then. It hasn't existed for a long time, but the marketing campaign still exists. The U.S. does not have the best hospitals in the world. Look at the best places to get surgery as a medical tourist. None of those places in the U.S. There are some in Mexico, there are some in Singapore, there are some in Malaysia, there are some in Thailand, there are some in India. In fact, there's one in Lebanon, right? And so why don't you just look at all the places where you can, again, have that clean lifestyle? You pick the list, you make the list, and you bring it to us at Nomad Capitalist and say, listen, I want better water. I want a cleaner water source. Find me a country with lots of fresh water. I want a place that has super clean air. We can find that. And in the process of your moving, you can keep a lot more of your own money because you're paying for the illusion of services that you're no longer getting. I want you to live a long, healthy life. I want you to live an enjoyable life. And I think that if you look at all the other countries and what they have to offer, you'll be able to do that a lot better and not suffer from higher infant mortality rates if you're starting a family, being left alone due to staff shortages. This is the promise that's been broken with your country that you've been paying. You were there for them, you did what they asked, and now they're not there for you. You're going to see more of this because this is the changing paradigm in the world. Smaller, emerging countries are going to be better. Legacy brand countries are going to get worse, and they're basically going to become the same.